A rainfall record like nothing seen in over 150 years. A typhoon over 1,000 kilometers wide that pushed the infrastructure of one of the world's largest cities to its limit and forced authorities to do something they had never done before. Streets buried underwater, manholes blowing open, rivers overflowing. But what actually happened in those 24 hours, and why did it break a record no one saw coming? To understand what happened, we first need to talk about who was behind it. Typhoon Dolphin. Dolphin was the 13th typhoon of the 2026 season, with a circulation that stretched 1,300 kilometers across, and winds of up to 270 kilometers per hour, reaching Category 5 at its peak, the highest level possible. On August 9th, it made landfall twice in Zhejiang province, just south of Shanghai, before continuing its path inland. By the time Dolphin had already weakened, Shanghai's real problem was only just beginning. At 10:30 a.m. on August 9th, Shanghai's meteorological center raised the alert to red, the first time this had happened in the city center since Typhoon Fitao back in 2013. By 5 p.m., more than 215,000 people had already been evacuated from high-risk areas. On Wukong Road, the water rose so high that the century-old Wukong mansion appeared to be completely surrounded, as if floating in the middle of the intersection. And that image was only a preview of what was coming for the rest of the city. But the problem wasn't limited to downtown. Across dozens of streets, residential compounds, and underpasses throughout the city, water piled up all at once. In Changning District, a shopping mall had all 3 of its underground floors flooded. The city deployed 32 mobile pump trucks just to drain water from streets and neighborhoods in the central area. For many residents, it was something they hadn't seen in at least a decade. Both of Shanghai's airports canceled more than 1,300 flights. Several metro lines had to cut routes or suspend service entirely. With the ferries also out of service, police had to escort cyclists and scooter riders through the tunnels so they could cross the river safely. But the rain wouldn't stop. In the 24 hours leading up to the morning of August 10th, the Shujiahui weather station recorded 316.1 millimeters of rain, the highest figure since the station began recording weather data in 1873. 154 years of recorded history, broken in a single day. Before we get into how the city responded to all that water, hit subscribe and give this a like so more people can learn about this historic event. The Suzhou River, which cuts through the city center, began rising dangerously fast from all the water accumulating upstream. As early as the night of August 9th, the state-owned company Shanghai Chungtou Water had already deployed 15 portable high-capacity pumping units, ready to go. Then, at 11:30 a.m. on August 10th, Shanghai did something it had never done in its entire history. It activated every emergency pump at the mouth of the Suzhou River, coordinating them with the river's floodgates to force the water into the Huangpu River at a rate of 30,000 cubic meters per hour. The operation was meant to protect 25 drainage systems along the Suzhou River, covering an area of nearly 58 square kilometers. But why did something like this happen right now? The answer lies in the combination of 2 things happening at the same time. On one hand, Dolphin produced what's known as a train effect. Its spiral rain bands passed one after another over the same area of Shanghai, like train cars following the same track. Instead of the rain spreading out and moving on, it kept piling up over the same spot. At the same time, this coincided with high tide on the Huangpu River, pushed even higher by the typhoon's own pressure on the sea. With the river running that high, rainwater from the streets couldn't drain into it by gravity. The river was, quite literally, acting like a plug. What kept this from becoming an even bigger disaster was Shanghai's coastal flood defense system. The stretch of wall running along the Huangpu's urban waterfront is built to withstand a tide level that, statistically, should only happen once every 1,000 years. If you want us to make a video about Shanghai's coastal flood walls, drop a comment with the word wall. Shanghai's infrastructure was pushed to its limit, like rarely before in the city's history. And even though the system held, officials themselves acknowledged something simple. Rainfall of this intensity exceeded the current capacity of the city's drainage system. Shanghai has already spent more than 2 decades reinforcing its flood defenses, but Dolphin made it clear that work is far from done. Thanks for watching until the end. And if you want to go deeper into China's history, don't miss the video on the Gaokao, the exam that decides everything. See you in the next one.